Hey baby girl, I miss you. It's been a while. I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's been so long. I miss you. I hope soon we'll be together again. One day soon. Oh, you are freezing. This frame is cold. Forget that. I ain't riding today. It is too cold out. Man, it is cold. I do miss you though, baby girl. You stay safe. Stay warm. I'll catch you when it gets a little warmer. Sometimes life just gets in the way. Man, the last few months, just haven't been on a ride like I wish I could. This video, I'm going to talk about what happened and how I'm trying to get back out on the trails. So the question I want to ask is this: what do you do when life gets in the way? So except for one brief local ride in the snow, I haven't been on my mountain bike since early November. The end of 2020 just bombed out. Now, nothing major, just lots of little things just kept piling up and kept me from riding. First thing to happen, my van broke down right before Thanksgiving. Van broke down, and the cost to repair it was just simply not worth the investment. It just costs too much. So that led us to purchase a new van, and that created a whole set of problems I didn't even think I'd have to worry about. And it really kept me from riding. But how in the world did that keep me from riding? It's all about that trailer hitch. See, we had a great trailer hitch on the old van, and I dropped it, took it off before we sold the old van, and I tried to put it on the new one, and it did not work. It was easy removing the trailer hitch from the old van, putting on the new one. It was just not working out. I had to tap out the well nuts where the bolts of for the holes the hitch to the frame goes in. I tapped those out, and I messed up tapping those out, and I put the bolts back in. They wouldn't tighten, and then I finally figured out a new way to do it, and I had to order special bolts, and these are specialized bolts. And I called up Kurt, the actual manufacturer of the hitch, and they said the only way that they could do this is if I were to buy an entire new hitch. I'm talking about 2 bolts I needed, and they're telling me I needed to buy a new hitch. One company told me it would cost $400 to get those 2 bolts. Insane. I called all up and down the East Coast trying to find these 2 bolts. Curse you, Kurt Hitch. Curse you. Finally, eTrailer hooked me up. I found something that will, not quite what I wanted, but something that should work. So finally, after weeks of searching, I found these bolts, and man, what a relief. Here you go. Who would have thought this little setup would be so hard to find? eTrailer.com is the only place I could find it, and this, my friends, is going to allow me to get the hitch back onto the van, the new van, so I can put the bike rack on and finally hit some trails. Few little pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pieces. That's all it took. Actually, I can't count. It's 4. 4 pieces. Washer, nut, special block, and the bolt. That's all it took, but it was so hard to find this. Finally did, but I haven't gotten it on yet. Now here's the really interesting thing. The very next thing that happened. Yep. I got sick. Didn't hit me too bad, except it was long. It wasn't worse for me than any other like chest infection that I've had, but it took like over 3 weeks. So right after Thanksgiving, bam, knocked out, hit for a good 3 weeks, and really right up until Christmas, I was just out. So seemed to go on forever. It had, it wasn't terrible, but it had that hit by the bus feeling that you get whenever you get the flu. It's just like, man, you feel miserable. So then what do you do after that? You have to recover, right? Feeling better overall, but I haven't gotten out on the bike yet. There was one time, briefly in the snow, I got to ride, but that was about it. and that was just after I recovered. And man, I felt it. It's just, I realized that it's, especially because it's been almost 3 months now since I've ridden, just like when I, especially because it's so cold out up here, that you walk outside, it's like, it's just like, it's so hard to breathe. I'm just shortness of breath. It is freezing. Look at that. Yeah. That's nice. This hitch is freezing. Oh, and it's heavy. And one of these days, it'll be warm enough to get this hitch on the van to hit up the trails, but today's not that day. So here's how I'm working to resolve that. I actually went ahead and bought an indoor trainer. Now I've been trying to adjust to using that with some regularity. One of the main goals for 2021 is endurance. I need to work on my endurance. I want to be able to go hit the trails and actually not be dying 10 minutes into the ride and have to take a 20-minute break just to go another 10 minutes for another 20-minute break. So the hope is endurance, endurance, endurance. I'd love to be a little less winded out on those trails. That's like, if I have one major goal for 2021, that is the goal. A brief side comment about that indoor training. I tried Zwift. Nah, not for me. Maybe some of you have used it and like it. I was not impressed, man. First of all, it took forever to set up. I couldn't get the sensors. I'm using the Wahoo sensors. It took me a while to get them. Where's my Wahoo? I got one right here. Yeah. Using the Wahoo sensors. Here's the cadence sensor. This goes on your shoe or on your crank. I have the other one on the bike. They work great, but they would not work great with Zwift. And it was just a mess. And Zwift wasn't pairing well with Strava. And I'm like, forget it. So I just ended up turning on the Wahoo app, using that, playing Call of Duty for 30 minutes. And that game's so messed up with the skill-based matchmaking. I'm just like, I don't care anymore whether I'm actually playing really for anything. So I just go in there. You can't see anything. You're like on your bike riding, huffing and puffing, trying to hold a controller. But the good thing is it's just mindlessly, it's like watching TV. It's just mindless entertainment. And I was able to actually do 30 minutes straight. And before, when I was trying to do the Zwift, I only could do 15 minutes at the most and I was dead. So that 30-minute ride with playing Call of Duty worked. It distracted me just enough. I'm like, hey, I'm going to keep this up. I'm going to keep trying that. That's really hard to see people. Can't see anyone.
Why don't you die?
I can't even see anybody. So Zwift is not for me. Maybe COD, maybe some other game or something on the TV. Just, yeah, I could not do Zwift. Just cool idea, it just didn't work for me. All right, so my hope is to start getting back into this groove. Indoor riding is just not that ideal. It's better than nothing, but it's not that ideal. Now, here's the crazy thing. It has been so cold. And I love the cold. I walk out in t-shirt, shorts, and I love it. But, man, it is just too cold to go put a trailer hitch on, to lay down on the cement, the cold cement, and to try to get a trailer hitch on. It's even, right now, it's too cold for me to ride. Like, last year I did it, and this year I'm just like, maybe it's feeling that weight on my chest, man. I just don't want to go out, so I'm not feeling it yet. But let me throw out a few thoughts on how, when life gets in the way, what I'm telling myself to work through this, and maybe it'll help you a bit. Who knows? A couple things. First thing, you know what? Mountain biking, getting out riding, it isn't everything. It is not. There are a lot more important things in life than getting out and riding. Now, I want to get out and ride, and that's important for me, for my physical health, things like that. But here's the thing. Your identity is not in how good of a rider you are, not in how many miles you hit this year, not in how many black diamonds you conquer, not in how many rock rolls you can hit, not in how many jumps you can do. That's not what it is. You are not your Strava account. So for me, wrestling with who I am as a person, I'm a husband, a father, and a provider for my family. Those are first and foremost. That is the priority. Mountain biking to me is just a hobby. So something I enjoy, something that helps get me in better shape. But beyond that, that's what it is. A second interesting thing, maybe you've already realized this, is how little control we actually have. I think that's one thing COVID has been teaching all of us, right? It should be teaching us. You think you can do this, and then guess what? Nope. You think you can do this, then something else happens, and then something else happens. And we think we have control over our lives, then we realize, you know what? I had no control over my van breaking down. It just did. Just broke. Even if I've given the preventive maintenance, all that, I've done all the stuff I needed, it just broke down. No control over it. I couldn't control that the cost for repairing the van was far exceeding the cost of buying a new van. It didn't make sense. So I couldn't control the fact that I couldn't get the bolts. Couldn't control that I was out for 3 weeks. We have such very little control over our lives. So it's made me realize, you know what, just relax a little bit. There's only so much you can do. One last thought, ignore everyone else. What do I mean by that? Well, you know what, I'm not a Strava, everyone's on Strava and it's cool. I like using it for my keeping track of myself, see how I'm doing. But if you use it, this is just me, because some people really get motivated by this. But for me, if I see other people, you go check Strava and you're like, oh, it's the comparing game. Anytime you compare yourself to someone else, it'll wreck you and make you frustrated and make you feel less than who you really are. So you know what? The best one to compare yourself to is yourself. Okay, here I am. This is how I did last year. This is where I need to get better the following year. So my message to myself, particularly this year, is, you know what, Will? Maybe a little less looking at Strava and see how everyone else is doing. Stop comparing yourself, right? My life is entirely different than every one of yours lives. We all have different circumstances. When life happens, it's all taking away different things. So maybe some of us get a chance to ride more than others. That's just the life we've been given. That's what we've made countless other decisions that have impacted that. So I need to stop comparing myself to others. The reality is sometimes life just gets on the way. So what do? It's life. You keep pressing on. So that's what I'm doing. Hopefully it'll be warm enough in the next few days, and not tomorrow. Tomorrow's like the one day I got to do it. It's gonna be supposed to be like 26 degrees. We're dipping in the teens here at night. So I am not gonna be out riding. I am not gonna be out putting that hitch on that van anytime soon. Probably gonna go hit the indoor trainer bit. So keep pressing on. Let me know if life gets in your way from riding, and what do you do to get back on the trails. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you later. See Mommy, Mom, thick. Oops. Just won't stay in my mouth.